What's up, haters? No, I'm just playing. Welcome back to another episode of Me versus Me podcast, fools. Sorry, I gotta hold the microphone like this because it's too short, and you know what I mean. So, basically, it's been a couple weeks since. Well, it's probably been like 10 days since I did a podcast last, but that's for good reasons. Is because I don't want to bore you guys. Plus, also sometimes this stuff is quite demanding. So I think it's very important for me to also take some time aside to kind of like make sure mentally your boy is doing all right. And that's that's one of those topics that like not a lot of people will address, especially with nowadays. Everybody's got like this hustler mentality. Like you got to always be go, 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 whether it's the gym, whether it's like sports, whether it's like money, grinding, working. You guys could be fucking supercomputers if you guys want, bro. I know I put it down, but there's also times where I just need to chill and be me. And, sometimes I don't need people to be around, or sometimes I need to be around a lot of people just to kind of be like, oh, okay. Because I like to be around people, but I don't always like to people skills. Interact. I guess that's the right word to say. Like, I don't always like to interact, but it's not because it's not for any particular reason. It's just that sometimes I kind of have to meditate my own energy so that way I know which direction I want to go. And sometimes I got to pull from like my creative energies and stuff. But, some people, it's very difficult for them to be able to relate to that because, they have like to keep up appearances, or maybe they just truly feel like they're always going to be all right. So they don't have to worry about like, like falling out or just not having enough energy because they got so much momentum. They got so much energy. It's crazy. So they're always going to be like that. I was like that for many years too. And I still kind of am, believe me, but there's only certain things that I'll allow myself to do that with nowadays. I think that comes with experience. That's more of like a wisdom thing. Because if I was just out there doing that shit 24/7, I think I would get exhausted and I'd be burnt out all the time. And that's not really like fun for me to always be like that for everything, because there's certain times, bro, where it's like just, life is rough and you like, ugh, what the hell? Like I want to be able to do what I got to do, but I got some overthinking going on. And I just did this podcast. My bad. I got some audio issues going on. I just did this podcast with Tom just recently, and he touched base on the matter where he's like, that fire that's in you sometimes, you might be overthinking, you might be kind of like, distracted by other things, and then next thing you know, that fire isn't there. So you're doing things, and it's kind of like that's where the hard work comes into play. So I like to do things that even when it is hard work, it's stuff that is like either gonna get me where I need to be, or it's stuff that I actually like to be doing, because not every day is easy, and sometimes you got to really play it by ear. If you're like me, I'm not pushing this stuff on you guys to project, because I want you guys to to be misled. Like this is the only way to think. No. This is only the way that I think. As of now, and even then it changes. Like I can think of 20 different things throughout the day, and then from the next moment on, it's like I'm thinking about another 20 different things, and just repeat that throughout the day. But the next day, I'm thinking about 20 other different things, and like I might have different views on those same matters. So it's not even like I have to pick up those same values and then carry them anymore. Like I might have just been like, oh fuck, I'm stressing. The next day I'm like, it's not that bad, right? I already thought about it. It no longer makes me feel good to stress out over it. So I'm gonna just leave that over there. And then the next time I pick it up, it's like, oh look, solutions. And then just move forward. But that's enough about complaining. No, I'm just kidding. But like, seriously, I do this podcast mainly to kind of like keep like not a memoir, because that sounds lame, but I'm gonna say like just to be able to keep track of like which direction I'm headed in. Like I like to watch these podcasts sometimes. They make me laugh. Sometimes they make me sad. Sometimes they make me rethink. And then I'm just sitting there looking at the the screen, like that's the thought that I meant to finish, and then it gives me ideas for like new podcasts or like who I want to bring on or like same people, what do I want to talk about with them, but it's very important to be able to do that, especially with me because my brain can go like a million miles per hour and certain things I want to do, I just don't have the energy for because I'm probably doing like a million other things or thinking about doing a million other things. And yeah, so I don't really know what to say about that. But I think it's very important for me to speak about it out loud because then I can hear myself say the stuff. And if I sound stupid, you guys hear me say, if you guys hear me say it and I sound stupid to you, then imagine how I feel, right? Unless that I'm like truly gifted in my ignorance and I don't even pay attention to how stupid I sound. But it's not that. It's actually something that is really good for like reflection later because when nobody else is in the room, bro, and I'm the only one that's like pay attention to these words, and then later on I'm having a conversation with someone, I'm like, oh yeah, I talked about this, blah, 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 blah. It's like really good reference, plus it's tripping me out, but people have actually been watching the podcast. So that's what's up. Shout out to you guys. You guys are the real MVPs. And I'm your host, Chet You Betcha. No, I'm just playing. So, I spent some time, I was kicking it with like my cousins and them playing this game, Elden Ring. That thing's pretty hard. But every time I got like super like stressed out with the boss battle, I give it to my cousin for him to play. My coworker says that's not really like a good thing for me to be doing. They're like, I should be the one playing the game, but I'm like, bro, I'm not about to be stressing out over a video game like this. Like, I'm doing it to enjoy it. It's a pretty difficult game in itself, right? But if you actually game seriously, it's one of those things where it's like, I'm sorry, it's one of those things where it's like you kind of enjoy the experience. And normally I usually do. But this time around, I just didn't want to go for something like that. So I'm sorry if I disappoint you. But realistically, it's my life. I'm going to live it how I want. Hater. JK. So that was cool. Also, I've been doing a lot of music about God, right? And I got my boy, Fo. I'm trying to get him on the podcast, but he doesn't want to get on for whatever reason. It's all good. But like, I got a couple other guests that I want to introduce you guys to. Because these are people who are influential in my life. Not to say that I'm like super important or anything, but sometimes I might lead to a thought that might lead to something that's very important to you in your life. And if that ever happens, just give me a thumbs up and I'm like, I'm proud of you, G. If not, then it's all good and you hate my guts. That's cool too, bro. It's still all love because you're still watching and haters are your best viewers. Know what I'm saying? Nah, I mean, no, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I don't really want to make it like a super long podcast. I just kind of wanted to do one just to just kind of be able to touch back, right? So season 1 was pretty much me kind of figuring the thing out. Season 2 is pretty much me introducing more people and then kind of just going over certain topics and stuff. I talk about God a lot, but also I do talk about like business growth, spirituality, movies with friends, video games and stuff. So I'm thinking about doing like a new season 3, and then just making it like just going into depth on more things, right? Because you've heard us talk about the construction stuff. Maybe you kind of do like a live Q&A where we get people involved, or like I take like a list of things on Instagram, and you guys like tell me what you guys want me to talk about in the podcast. And then I'll give you like real life insight from some of the people in the construction field where you can get like an honest answer because I think that'd be super valuable. Or maybe if you have like questions about business, I could talk to my homies and stuff and they'll give you like real insight, because you can go on Google and you can see all this stuff realistically, right? But if you ever like tap in with me and you see something that you like and you feel like, oh, you know what, like I really like the direction that dude's headed in, then just you showing support, you playing along a little bit, adding, comments here and there and stuff, that really helps. Because then that triggers a thought in my head. And then next, it's like, oh, okay, like I know what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to talk to such and such, bring them on. We're going to talk about this and it's going to be a good deal. Right. Also, like I said, I like to ask a lot of interesting questions. So it's not always just me interviewing people. Sometimes it really comes down to like an organic conversation where it's just all about growth and reflection and people can talk about their inputs, and we give each other feedback, because I think it's healthy to reflect, and it's even more enjoyable when you can do it with people who you know and trust. And it just so happens that I do it live on camera for you guys. Well, not live, but like I do it in front of you guys, and like I've said before, it's probably not the best way to go about it, but it is what it is, and I like doing it now. So let's keep it up. I got a couple new music. I got music that I'm trying to put out there soon, and I'm working on my second mixtape ever. That's what's up. The first one, Trust the Process. That one's on YouTube, and each single is probably available like on like Apple Music or Spotify. I'll make sure. I'll put like the link in like a bio or something, so you guys can like access it from my Instagram. And let's see. Oh, I think it's already there. You guys can access my YouTube page, and like Spotify or like Apple Music. You guys can already check out the platforms and stuff. What else? So I'm gonna be working on my second mixtape, and I think that's gonna be a very interesting one, because that one, with my experience from the first one, I kind of have like a blueprint, and I want to be able to incorporate more ideas or more like melodies, just to kind of like be able to bring like my personality, because it's different. Like I feel like as a rapper, there's like a persona you have to have, right? You have to have charisma. You have to have a certain level, like a certain element that makes people respond or feel you. And as a person, I got that. Like I could for sure like have a conversation with someone, they could feel me, right? But like if I'm rapping, not all the time is it like that, because it's like first I gotta impress you. But wait, why do I even gotta impress you? No. Like, let's check it out. Let's check out the motive, right? My podcast, Me versus Me podcast. So if I get into making music, it's like I gotta do something like that it represents me, and it's a reflection of me on music, but it also like it kind of like foreshadows some more of the personality that's to come in like later mixtapes, or like once I start getting on like albums or like music videos and stuff, because a lot of my stuff is just me. But I like to collab and stuff. It's really fun for me as an artist when I can just hop on, and then like let's say if I'm like talking with someone, they're like, yo, I got the space, like this is what the song's about, blah blah blah, just hop on and do your thing. Like, that's really great for me, because I don't have to like mix and master. I don't gotta do none of that stuff. I'm the guest. Bro, let me have fun. Let me just be the rapper. Even though I'm not really a rapper anymore like that, it's more like a music maker. So that's that. That's kind of like a little bit of my plans. And the reason why I say that to you guys is because if you tuned in this far, thank you. I'm picturing myself going into season 3 really shortly. And, I'm just kind of like trying to figure this out. Each step kind of reveals its way, like as I go further and further on. And if God will have it, then, I'll be down. I'm willing. So shout out to God. Thank you. Shout out to Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior, and the Holy Spirit, because I always feel it every time, I talk about God, and it's a beautiful thing. And there's a lot of things that I wouldn't even have had this opportunity if it wasn't for God. And so when I say that, I don't say that to try to impress any of you guys. I just know what it means to me, right? And, like I don't force my ways of thinking on anybody, but like it's just what I talk about. So, like when I'm sitting here on this podcast and I'm like remembering everything it took for me to even get here, it's like kind of interesting, because, there's certain details where it's like right out of a movie for me. There's certain details where it's like it just popped up and I'm like, there's no, all right, whatever, like, and then I just move forward with it. But also I've been having like some very interesting thoughts and like business, but I want to take it a step further and maybe create like help like someone like create like a blueprint or something. I don't know. Like I want to do something that's very impactful, very meaningful. And then there's going to be like a lot of like substance and value, and, people are really going to be able to eat from it. And I don't mean like eat from me, like I'm going to be the one giving handouts, but it's going to be like, hey, yo, like tap in real quick. There's a lot of game being kicked around over here. Like, just listen. And then, all right, cool. You sit there, you kick it. And then after a while, you just taking notes and like, you know what? I'm gonna go do what I'm gonna do. I'll holler at you, boy Richie, later. You know, and if it works out, it works out. Like whatever resonates for you. If not, then you know what I mean. Just whatever. Like really, whatever works out for you. Cause like I'm doing my thing. So at the end of the day, it's like it's all good. But you know, the love that I'm trying to show to people, I think that's very important for me because sometimes it's really hard to draw from those places. Like let's say I'm going through a hard time. I got like a hard patch or whatever, and I'm looking for the love to give to people, and it's not there, and it's like fuck. Like what could I do? But just show more love, bro. Show more love because like once I get out of that mode, once I get out of that funk, it's just I can't even explain it. It's so much love, so much positivity because like I know I'm coming with like good intentions and don't get me wrong, like I'm only human. Like my brain goes like 20 different ways sometimes too, and I'm just like, oh shit, like control it, you know, because like being a human isn't easy, right? And if you're a real life person with real life emotions who knows other real life people with other real life emotions, life can get pretty hectic. But like I think it's all about positivity and balance, you know, like staying well rounded around those curves, those learning curves can really help a bunch, especially when you start incorporating people who like they look up to you or you might be standing right alongside. So you guys kind of all like keep each other in check or like, you know, it's just like, hey, yo, straighten up. Oh, you got some dust on your collar. Oh, that cool. We're all good. Like keeping it fresh, but keeping it like, you know, like keeping everything like in order. So that way we can continue to move forward, you know, and whatever that means to you, to me, it means like a lot of good stuff. But I'm trying to get it all out of my head, all out of my heart, all out of my spirit. So that way you guys can see it, right? And I do it on this podcast because it's like kind of interesting because for the different like let's say the segments of like Richie Rhyme One Rodriguez, I'm able to do the music videos. I could do the podcast. We could talk about like growth and learning and stuff. I do TikTok, so I'm always talking about like spirituality, love, you know, God. And if you know me personally, sometimes I just like to shoot the shit, right? I talk about like, you know, growing up in the ghetto. I talk about like, you know, what it was like going to public school. But like some of my ideas are basically based off of like stuff that I actually agree with. Sometimes I'll say stuff to just be funny, but it's stuff that I actually like. Mainly is gonna be stuff that I actually agree with. So you'll see me posting and stuff, and it's like I don't give a fuck if it's a guy or a girl saying it. I'm gonna just post it because it's real, right? It doesn't matter if you're man, woman, panda bear, pizza. It doesn't matter which you are. If you speaking real, you speaking real, right? So it's like, you know, I like to entertain that stuff because influentially, I like to surround myself with the type of stuff that's gonna vibe. The type of stuff like that's why I like being around people who catch my vibe because you know it's not every day that like that you know you're always received when you're trying to do a thing. So sometimes you want to be around people who are gonna just let you be free and then just kind of like keep you from going off the rails. You know, I think I heard about it. It was like an old Mad TV skit where like, so what happened is you were on a you were on a train, and then eventually you got off track. So the idea is to get you back on track, you know? And I'm not explaining that right, but he said that pretty much like, he was like, you were on a train and then somewhere something happened and you got off track. And I was just like, that's a good way to put that, right? So I like to be around people who, you know, they're not hating because there's a really big difference from hating. And I spoke about this with Tom also. He's my boss. Shout out Pure Energy Construction. Come build stuff. Basically he talks about that where it's like, fuck, where was I going with that? I just did that whole segment right there. I was like, Pure Energy Construction, come build stuff. And then I forgot what I was going to say. Fuck. Damn, this is probably like bad promo actually, because like I'm all saying cuss words and shit. I'm like, yo, what's up? Come try it, fools. And then people are gonna be like, oh, I'm never gonna build. Nah, I think don't take my this different. This is like totally aside. Like I keep it professional when I'm at work and stuff. But what was I gonna say right now? On track, got off track. Fuck. I got off track. I forgot what I was saying. Oh yeah. But like, no haters, right? So like, the haters, they can influence you. They can definitely get you that positivity that you need in order for you to like keep on going and stuff. But I don't like to draw from that because that's negativity in itself. But I know what it's like to go there sometimes, and you know what? Like, if you got to make stuff happen, bro, you pull from anywhere. And I hate to say that, but it's like, you know, like nowadays I'm different. Nowadays I try to pull from God. Really though. So, you know, that's why I try not to encourage the stuff. But like, I remember, you know, so I can't pass judgment because I do remember a time where I was really like pulling off of hate. I was really like, yo, I remember blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, I'm gonna push. And it got me some places, but it also did like a lot of damage in the back end. So that's where I was just like, all right, well, maybe that's not the best like motivation to come from. That's why I like listening to Nipsey Hussle, because his music came with a mentality that you can adapt. And even if you don't sell drugs and kick it on the block and gangbang and stuff, it's like, what else can you draw from a painting, right? What else can you draw from a mural who came from somebody who represents street life? But they also had a lot of positivity behind it. And that's the genius behind some of, you know, the creativity that some artists that you hear about, you know, Nipsey Hussle in particular. But like me personally, I try not to pull from hate, even though sometimes you get a lot of haters. You get like a lot of what's the word? Like backlash? Not backlash, but like just, you know, you get like a lot of criticism. And you know, I like to influence myself with positivity because I can breathe in that. I can grow in that, and even when it's uncomfortable, like uncomfortable is different than negative. You can be in an environment that's completely uncomfortable, but it's still growth, versus you can be in an environment that's negative and stagnant. You can grow in negativity too, by the way, but you want to focus on the positivity because sometimes it's damaging to your psyche or to what you introduce to your nervous system, because then you're not able to think straight. Or even if you are, then there's, man, I can't tell you how to be you. I could just tell you how I be me. And, you know, whatever works for you, that's what's up. That's solid. But like, you know, when I pay attention to certain things, bro, I'm like, you know, for the future generations, I wouldn't want them to feel like they got to be like super dope, super tough, super blah, blah. Just be you, bro. Like, be that shit, because you never know who you're going to influence. And if I'm like 28 right now and I can say all this stuff and make you guys think, then you say something maybe that came from like a line you heard on a podcast of somebody who was like 8 or 7 or 16. And then they think about that for years. So like way after you're like out of their lives and stuff, and maybe like they're in their 40s or 50s or 70s or 80s, you know, they might be talking to someone and say that same line that came from you, that came from me, but we passing it on. It's not really, it doesn't belong to any of us. It all belongs to God. Even the air that I breathe, that's not mine. But like, you can have it. No, I'm saying. But like, you know what I mean? So I think that it's important to give back. So that's why you catch me on these rants, these tangents, because like I gotta really like reiterate or like specify, even though no one's asking me to, no one's asking me to make a podcast, but I do this shit because I love it, right? Or like I do it because I like it. It's interesting. And, you know, if I can get you guys like tapping in, paying attention, and like, you know, create some value and stuff, like it's all going to be Gucci, because then it's like maybe in some way, shape, or form, like by me just talking about what I'm talking about, trying to change my situation, your situation get changed because you influenced and stuff. And it's like I was a dope influence on your life also. And that's cool. Not for like the glory or anything like that. The glory be to God. But when I'm talking about it, I'm like, that's good to be able to help out someone's situation, right? And see the growth and just be able to be like, that's fucking dope, bro. That's fucking dope, sis. That's fucking dope, Panda. That's whatever. It's dope, and I want to see the growth. I love it because I know what it's like to not have stuff, and I know what it's like to have stuff, and you know, I know what it's like to have to work for stuff. So when you have to work for stuff and you get it, it feels great. It feels bomb, especially when you're coming from not having stuff. So that's the good stuff to entertain. You know, is working towards something, and you know, Like I get it. There's tips, there's tricks to the trade. You can come up on people, you can get over on people, blah blah blah, whoop whoop whoop, ha ha ha. Like, life's a game, blah blah. Cool, whatever. Like I'm not a part of none of that. I'm gonna just pay attention to, what I do, because there's stuff that I'm trying to do and stuff. So it's like at the end of the day, it's like I'm gonna just try to keep it real with you as best I can, because not all the time am I perfect. I'm not perfect at all. But like if I say the stuff to you and it makes you think, then that's what's up. But anywho, so I discussed what I want to do for like the next season. There's a couple other people who I have in mind that I want to bring onto the show. And maybe, I don't know, maybe we could do some stuff like something creative. If you guys can think of anything, for sure, put it in the comments, and then we can go over it. Right. I'm still trying to figure out how to do like this live stuff. So that way when I stream it, but I might have to have like a certain level of like a certain amount of followers or something. I don't know, but I'll get to it. And then I got musicians and comedians that I want to start bringing onto the podcast. I also know like a pretty dope MC at Maui Sugar Mill Saloon. Shout out Jerome. And I want to bring them on too, so that way you guys can kind of get to meet my other friends, because those guys are cool. And I think that like when you're out there and you're trying to promote, it's way different than just being at your house, writing your rap book, or like, cracking jokes to your friends. Like you actually are putting yourself in front of people for people to like, you're just exposing yourself to people. Not like a weird way or anything, but you're exposing like, you're showing people your product, and your product is like your comedy, your singing, your rapping, your poetry, your acting, your dancing. Like it's really dope stuff. So making the journey, the transition, whatever you call it, I like to talk to people who know about that stuff. So that way when you see it, it triggers something in you, because I mean, you might be influential, right? Or you might be easily influenced, which, I mean, I know I'm easily influenced. That's why I pay attention to what I influence myself with, because I just can't be out here letting myself go down like that. I got to make sure that what I'm paying attention to is stuff that's like, it pertains to what it is that I'm trying to, accumulate in my life. If God will let me, if God will allow. Cause like I remember some days where it's like I had some pretty dark goals, and they were just aspirations. Coming up, you see people, they got the nice cars, they probably like selling dope or something, or maybe they driving around and they like got like multiple chicks they talk to or whatever. And I just remember like, yeah, I want to do that. But now I'm grown. Now I'm like, you know what? Honestly, bro, I'd be blessed to even just have like a wife and some kids and stuff, and then be able to like hold it down with like have a spot and be able to take them on vacation, just like do that whole thing, and then really be like solid and stable, bro. Like that's crazy to me. Like, you know what I mean? Cause like stability, foundation, like all that type of structure, like you don't really always see that coming from the hood. Like, and when you do kind of see it, people want to like break it down. Why? Because they're not in that situation, or just, they got different aspirations, goals. So it just really doesn't make sense for them. But for me, it's like really cool, because then I get to see positivity. I get to like engage with people who like, they want nice things. They're like, just good people. You could be around good people anywhere you go, but like also, are you a good person? Right? I like try to be a good person. So I think one day I'm gonna be better at it, and then I'll just be all right with life. Right now I'm 28, still young, got like chip on my shoulder, whatever cats call it. And then I just be doing my thing. I'm trying not to get like too sentimental on you guys, but like, just be able to flow with things. So I think that's that. But I'm just keep this one real brief, real light, just touching base on a couple topics here. I think this one's episode like 19 or something. I don't know how many episodes I'm going to do in this season. I might call it after this one. Who knows? But, just keeping it real thorough. This is my vision for the podcast, to help you guys. Oh, I got like a homie who's a boxer. I want to get him on here. Maybe talk about with a couple martial artists, like, so the people who don't really know about like MMA, and talk about it with them. right? And it's interesting. It's super, super interesting because, excuse me, it's a lifestyle that just, it's stuff in people's lifestyles that they add emphasis on. And like, let's say you like an auto mechanic, right? That's all you know, that's what you've been doing and stuff. So you kind of like spent all of your time and energy in that, probably did some schooling, or maybe not. Maybe you just worked at a shop, started out sweeping, and got yourself like to the point where it's like you kind of like running the shop, holding it down while the owner's away and stuff. And you know what's up. Like everybody comes to you. So, you know what I mean? Like you didn't go to school or nothing, but like, you know, people respect you and they know that your opinion holds value. But I don't know, maybe you just want to hear about somebody who does martial arts, or maybe you want to hear about somebody who's like, you know, they got a degree in psychology. So it's like, you know, certain ways that people think, and, you know, that might be interesting to you, you know, or like maybe you like to tap in with the spirituality, or maybe you like to hear about like painting, you know what I mean? So like I've referred to myself as a hustler, and I think that it's a very, very positive, it's a very, very powerful movement. But one of those things is like sometimes you just putting labels on yourself, you putting filters, and sometimes you can't do that. Sometimes you got to just let yourself be, because that's where the real organic growth is, right? If I put myself in a box, who am I going to be in 20 years? Well, I'm only going to be whatever, however big that box was. But if I take out the filters, if I take off the box, you know what I mean? I'm going to be able to just see how big I'm able to grow and keep going further if, you know, I'm capable. Which, you know, if God allows, I'll be able to do that stuff. And I'll be able to do that stuff right here in front of you guys on the camera, and, you know, just continue to receive a lot of love and feedback. So anyways, I'm going to leave it to you guys like that. And, you know, pretty soon I'm going to be doing some stuff. I'm hoping to eventually have some stuff to be able to do it for money. But I don't think money is the most important stuff. Like maybe be able to kind of like go on tour with the music, or maybe like, you know, sell the merch out. You know, I got a couple ideas for the merch for even the podcast. So, you know, let me know what you guys think would probably be a good idea for me to sell, and then, you know, show some love. I'll put the link on my link tree, and then maybe you guys can buy yourself some merch and stuff, and like send me pictures and stuff, and I'll shout you out on Insta. So, you know, I'm very collaborative, right? Even when I don't get anything out of it, I still like to show support. So even if you just like, what's up? You know, I got a show or something, shout me out, I got you, right? Because, you know, there's times where I do that shit and people, they show love. So, anywho, I love you guys. Be safe, and the blessing continues.
I told you what I am. You hear me down from, look what it's become. I'm so calm, I'm so calm. I'm so calm, I'm so calm. I told you what I am. You hear me with it down from, look what it's become. I'm so calm, I'm so calm. I'm so calm, I'm so calm. I'm cold as ice.